So while this is not really a compression tutorial per se or EQ tutorial, it's more of a compression and EQ tutorial for your mix down because it's really a cohesive effort to get compression and EQ working together using the right settings. But I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention and go over what the settings did. So let's look at the settings on a Logic Pro compressor. This is just a regular Platinum Digital compressor that Logic Pro comes with. And I wanted to showcase this because I'm going to show you how we can get great sound out of just using Logic plugins. We don't need anything fancy. You can use the tools that comes with your DAW. And then when you need more tools in your toolkit, once you master what you have, feel free to do so. But it's not necessary to go and subscribe to all these plugin manufacturers. It's not necessary. It's not going to get you great sound if you don't have the basic knowledge. I can get you the best basketball and great Jordan sneakers, but if you don't know how to shoot a jump shot, the sneakers does nothing for you. It's not the shoes. We're basically going to use a Logic stock compressor on all of these tracks. So let me quickly explain what the attack, release, threshold, ratio, and makeup gain are. The attack is how fast do you want the compressor to clamp down on your sound. A slow attack will allow the initial transient to go through, and a fast attack will clamp down on it more to bring up more of the sustain. A release is pretty much the opposite of attack. The release is how fast is the compressor going to let go of compression. So for example, a percussive instrument like a snare drum, if you had a slow attack and a fast release, it will give you a very punchy sound. If you had a very fast attack and a fast release, it'll give you a very fat sound. Because it's going to kind of shave off that initial transient. And depending on the sound you want, you can experiment with your ears. The threshold is how hard I'm going to hit the compression in terms of my threshold, when I want it to start compressing, at what level. Ratio is actually how hard you want to hit the compressor. So if I went to 30, which is pretty much limiting, that's like a horizontal line. I don't want anything going above that line. We're not going to go that drastic. We're going to go probably about 4, which is decent. 4 is a nice little kind of gradual way to get into compression, to ease into compression. And then your makeup gain is, as you bring down the threshold, you're going to lose a little bit of volume. So if I'm compressing about 6 dB, I'm going to make up probably about anywhere from 4 to 6 dB. And we'll see that in the example. It also has a function of a knee. And what the knee is, and let me switch over to graph mode, is you see over here this smooth kind of transition into compression. So if I move it all the way to the left, it gives it a hard knee. See that little, it's kind of like a corner. It's very sharp. But if I soften it up, you'll see it eases into compression. So I like to keep it in the middle. I'll keep it at 0.5. It just sounds smoother to me. One other thing to note, ignore the numbers. The numbers don't really mean anything. I don't even know what they mean. What I mean by that is use your ears. Use your ears and watch the meters to see how much you want to determine how much compression you want in any given signal, whether it's a kick, snare, hi-hat, bass, whatever. Okay? Using your ears is very important. If I told you to use 3 milliseconds to use as an attack for your compressor, it may not work for all compressors. You may use a different compressor and it may not work. So what you want to do is use your ears as you're adjusting your sound, and as you're listening to compression, ease into it. Slow it up, slow it down, and see what sounds good to you. There's really no right or wrong here. It's really what fits the song, what sounds good to your ears. Okay? I just know that for 3 milliseconds for me, for this track, I like it because it gives it a very fat sound. So enough talking. We're going to go through each track and see how they sound.